Hey everybody, it's Tate. I just scared the dog. I felt like recording a video because last couple weeks have been kind of crazy. Like not too crazy, but like in a good way. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to talk about it and share some perspective. So, when was it? 2 weekends ago, I took a solo trip. I flew to South Carolina, Charleston, which is where my dad lives. He moved down there from Minnesota in 2020 with his wife, Tracy, and my sister. And, well, she's my half sister. So they've been living there for 5 years, and I have gotten to visit with them a few times. We usually drive down there because that's what my fiance wants to do. He says that it's all about, what does he say? It's not the destination, it's the ride along the way, or the adventure, or something like that. And I said, yeah, but if you could go on a plane, you would get there faster and then you could do more at your destination. Anyway, I wanted to fly and I wanted to do a solo trip because I have struggled with anxiety and doing things by myself. So I set like a goal for myself earlier this year that I'm going to take a solo trip, and I decided I wanted my solo trip to be to visit my dad because my stepmom, she works for Delta, so she normally would get tickets for really cheap, but that's on standby, and I wanted like solid dates. So my dad was able to find a round trip flight for like $200. So that was nice. And he said I could stay with him at their apartment, and he offered to pay for everything, but I wasn't going to let him do that. There's somebody outside my house. I think it's for the neighbors. So yeah, I wanted to take a solo trip. I've kind of been not myself since my last boss took his life. So I needed to do something, and honestly, I've been dreaming about going to the ocean. I feel like the ocean is, I love the ocean, you know. It's really grounding, and it just kind of makes you think. I don't know, like there's something about it that I'm drawn to, I guess. And I've had dreams about it since the last time I went to visit my dad. So I'm like, I'm not waiting any longer. I'm just going, and then this way we didn't have to figure out anything to do with the animals. So that was nice. I think that was the main reason why I wanted to do it. I just needed a break from the animals, and I didn't want to figure out who's going to watch them and whatnot. So, my trip, it went really well. I tried not to think about it too much beforehand, because then I'm just gonna psych myself out and I'm gonna get really anxious. And yeah, like I've gotten older, I've tried to get better about that. So the day of, I had everything packed. I woke up at 3:30 in the morning. And we put all my things in the car, and we decided we were going to stop at a gas station to get coffee and like a breakfast or a snack. And so we stopped at a gas station about 3-4 blocks from my house, and grabbed our things, whatever. When my fiance like went to put his coffee in the coffee holder, it like the lid fell off and it spilled all over my leg. So I knew this was a test, and either if I freak out the entire trip, I'm going to be in this terrible mood, right? And so I'm calm because we're a few blocks away from the house still, and we haven't left yet. So I'm calm as a cucumber. And I think I freaked out my fiance from this, because he's like freaking out. He's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so effing sorry. And I'm like, it's fine. Go to the house. I will quickly change. No big deal. So that's what I did. And the trip there was fine. I was feeling really anxious on the way up there. I had my oils that I was, trying to ground myself with and get my mind on something else and whatnot. Get to the airport. At first, I'm like super overwhelmed. I find a worker and I'm like, excuse me, can you tell me, I asked her, like, can you help me figure how to print a ticket and where TSA is? So I did that. I went through TSA, and that was fine. That was nervous. I was nervous about that because we watch a lot of shows about like drug smuggling and stuff like that. And one of my bags got pulled to the side. So that made me really nervous. And I'm like, what did they find? And the guy pulls out my contact solution bottle, and I'm like, I asked him, I'm like, are you going to take that away? I asked him, I said, are you going to confiscate that? And he's like, no, I just need to make sure it is what it says it is. I'm like, oh, okay. And I'm just so nervous, and I'm sure he knows that. And he tells me, you should switch to dailies. And I actually do have dailies. I just accidentally like ordered my last brand that I had been using, and it's like a 2-week one. So that's why I had the contact solution. It was just so awkward. But I made it through TSA. I got my bags, and I just followed the signs. I got to where I needed to be. I made sure it said Charleston. And then I went to the bathroom, filled up water bottle. Like, I had brought an empty water bottle because you can't bring liquids through TSA. And I went back to my spot and waited. Texted my dad. Everything. And then boarded the plane. I had an aisle seat, which was fine, but the guy that was sitting in the window seat, there was 3 seats, but there was nobody between us. He had the window shut the whole time, so I couldn't see anything. So it's kind of lame. And then I took a nap. Finally made it to South Carolina. think I waited 15 minutes for my dad to come, and I finally saw him. He picked me up. I had a great time. I got to spend some time with my stepmom at the pool and chat with her. I heard my half-sister talking about my dad, and I eavesdropped, and I shouldn't have because, yeah, I'm not gonna disclose what she said. Disclose? But, that's kind of a reason why I wanted to spend some time with my stepmom. I wanted to do a game night, and I had asked if we could. But we were going to. We had ordered sushi, and then I went out for a walk with my dad, and my stepmom, she works at like 3 a.m. So she's like, okay, I'm just gonna close my eyes. And then we came back, and she was still sleeping, so we didn't want to bother her. And then she just went to bed. And my half-sister, she wasn't even home. She was hanging out with a friend. So we didn't get to do game night, but next time we will. Went to the ocean. We went to some shops. We went to a mall, like a discount mall, Tanger Outlet. Found a place to get coffee. I think it's called the Front Porch. No. It might have been the Front Porch, but I want to say it was something else similar. That was good. I went to Waffle House. That was good. We got pizza one day. It was amazing. And then when I was leaving, my dad started to tear up. And so then I started to tear up. And it just meant a lot, you know? I used to spend a lot of time with my dad when I was a little kid. Like, not a lot of time, but for a year or two, we got to bond, you know? And so it kind of felt like that again, you know? And I'm going to get emotional now talking about this again. But anyway, we made it to the airport, and their airport is a lot smaller than ours, so TSA was fine. They didn't take away my contact solution either. I don't know. I just kind of waited, boarded the plane. I sat next to this couple, and I was in the aisle again. And it was so funny. It was like the perfect ending to my trip, because when we were about to take off, the wife, she was trying to open the window halfway, and then she was going to open it more, and he like nudged me, and he asked me, he's like, excuse me, window open all the way? And I was like, please. Yes. And then so yeah, we got to watch the takeoff. That was fine. And then flight went good. I played Candy Crush. What else? I played some podcast stuff. I didn't read just because I didn't have like my own personal light. I should have brought my book light, which I have, but I think eventually I might buy a, it's not a it's like a, it's sort of like a Kindle, but it still kind of looks like a book, you know? I think those are kind of interesting. But we'll see. I like physical books. I'm old school. So, anyway, then we were starting to land, and you can feel the turbulence. And you can tell when we're getting closer. Like, I'm looking out the window too. And then I was like, okay, here we go. And the guy next to me, he's, what did he say? He said something like we were finally landed when he said it. But he says, yeah, the most dangerous part of the takeoff or the most dangerous part of the plane ride is the landing, because I don't know, he was saying how our plane wasn't the pilot that landed it. It was the junior pilot or something like that. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you can tell because like a pilot, they have a lot more experience and it's a lot smoother. But this time, because there was quite a bit of turbulence, and he said this time there was quite a bit of turbulence and they're learning still, and that's how you can tell. And I was like, okay. And he's like, that's why it's the most dangerous, because if they don't have a lot of experience, then like, you know, there's more turbulence and whatnot. And I was like, well, thank you for telling me after the plane landed. And he laughed, and then we just kind of like got into conversation. And I asked him, I'm like, oh, is this home for you? And he said no, because I thought like maybe he's visiting from Charleston. He says no, we're from California. And I'm like, oh. He's like, this is our connecting flight or whatever, which doesn't make sense to me, but okay. And so we were talking about that. We were talking about California and how the heat's different than in Charleston. And I thought that was so interesting, because I didn't know that. And so yeah, that was a great ending to my trip. My fiance picked me up. I probably waited for him outside for like 10-15 minutes. There was quite a long line. That was kind of insane when he picked me up. And then the car ride home, it was funny because he picked me up. It was probably like 5 p.m. here. And he's like asking me about the plane ride and whatnot. And I just felt different. You know what I mean? Like, I felt like I had actually been present for that, you know? And I was explaining the plane, like, landing and, and then, like, maybe something my fiance would have been annoyed about, I kind of, like, explained it in a more mature way, you know? And it's like, I felt like I got more perspective from going on this trip, and also I feel really grateful and um, one of the things that my stepmom mentioned to me is how my dad, he constantly will say, like, we don't have money, we can't afford that. No, I'm not buying you that because I don't have the money. But like my stepmom was saying, like how him saying that stresses them out because she knows like they're fine. It's not like they're negative, you know, but also it's fine. Like my half sister wants things for school or whatever, and my dad is just, I guess he's been really negative about it. So I've learned over the past few years that if you speak like you're broke, then you're going to be broke. You're going to actually live that way, and it's going to become your reality. And I had no idea about this for the first maybe 20, 30 years of my life, you know? And I've been watching more tarot readings and stuff like that, and some of them will say that, you know, like be careful what you're manifesting without realizing you're manifesting it, and then they'll give examples, and that's usually one of the examples. And so I've come to like kind of slowly practice that more and more in my life, and seeing that my dad does that, it just makes me like want to practice it even more. And so I feel like that's just inspired me so much to like use the things that I have around here. Like I have stuff, and it's not like I'm broke, and like I have goals for myself for this house, and like so I feel like I've been so inspired. And like don't get me wrong, like I still want to sleep in until like 10 in the morning on my off days, but I also feel like another inspiration for me has been my best friend. She just bought a house like 2-3 months ago. It's her first house, and there's some things that she wants to improve on it, and she's been painting it. I'm going to help her paint some more tomorrow. And she actually has help with her house. So like I don't know, there's something about her that makes me feel like, you know, like she's doing it, and I can do that too. And I might not have like a full-on army helping me. Like she's got her dad, her mom, her sisters, you know, her boyfriend, his family, you know, and I feel like I'm just trying to figure this crap out on my own. And yeah. So I've just been feeling really inspired lately, and I feel like I needed to share that with the people of YouTube. So, what do you guys think? What inspires you guys? Like sometimes even just getting out of the house. This morning, I did not want to get up, and I didn't really feel hopeful for the day because I was supposed to help with a cleaning, and my friend was like, oh, maybe if you can, if you want, but it might be a waste of your time. And I just decided, no, it's fine. Like, They already had people clean it, you know, it's probably fine. And then I was like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do today. And then my fiance, he's like, will you go get us some coffee and breakfast? And then I'll get us dinner. So I went to go get, I got Caribou coffee. I don't know if you guys have Caribou where you're at, but it's like Starbucks, except better. You know, they're just like, their values are better too, you know? And so I went there, I got us stuff, and I was just feeling better, just getting out of the house. So, oh, my fiance is calling me, so I'm going to end the video, but let me know what inspires you guys, and like, share, comment, subscribe, whatever, or don't. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace.